That was just that was borderline erotic.
Welcome to My Gotta Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview this week's matchup between Georgia and the Kentucky Wildcats, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out store.mygottapodcast.com to see our latest merch, and you can follow us on social media at My Gotta Podcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Oxia Time, at oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. All right, John. We've got Kentucky.
Yes,
We've got Kentucky this Saturday. Is it safe to...
You're having Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Yeah.
There's a football game.
The first thing that made me think of was Chris declaring that Chick-fil-A was better than KFC, but I digress. Is it safe to assume that you have a Kentucky bourbon for the Kentucky game?
I do have a bourbon. I'll let you go first, and then I'll give you a little brief spiel on mine.
Okay, I don't have a spiel on mine, but I am opening a bottle.
Oh, hold on. Let me find the screen. All right, you're opening the bottle.
Of Angel's Envy. So
you've got the Angel's Envy. Is it the regular Angel's Envy, or is there?
It is the regular, yeah. So Kentucky Straight bourbon whiskey finished in port wine barrels.
Let me tell you that is a fantastic shelf sitter or whatever. Readily available. It's a fantastic bottle of bourbon.
It's very good, and I don't see it very often here actually. So when I see it, I buy it. It's very good.
Incidentally, when I first started getting into bourbon and found that my boss was into bourbon because he can't drink beer because of a gluten allergy or something. Okay. But he can drink bourbon, and he is a huge fan of Angel's Envy, and that was one of the first ones that I purchased on top of the things that John told me to buy. That was actually one of the most expensive bottles that I bought when I first started drinking bourbon, because it's like $50-$60, right?
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing, because I bought it. It's been sitting in my cabinet for a while, so that sounds right though. I think it's around 50.
Yeah. But yeah,
which is on the high end for what I tend to spend. So
exactly. So that, I'm a huge proponent of the value bourbons. Yeah. It has to be a phenomenal bottle for it to be like 50 something bucks. And why I'm always like hesitant when a new brand or a new bottle that someone recommends that I've never had before is at that price point. I'm like, well, I could just get some Angel's Envy or some Four Roses small batch select.
Right.
But on that topic, but yes, excellent bourbon. On that topic though, I have, let's see, can you see it online?
Ooh, I saw Evan Williams, but I can't. You're gonna just, there we go. Ooh.
There it is. It's just Evan Williams single barrel. It's one of those value bottles. I think it's like 30 something bucks or something like that. Had some at Greg's Tailgate. This is actually one of the ones that I sent you guys a picture of. You and John and Hunter. It was born in 2012. This bottle. This is my 2012. Okay. This is my 2012 bottle. It caught my eye. I was looking for something else. I was looking for the Bottled and Bond, the old granddad Bottled and Bond. But it caught my eye that this bottle, like I said, was born in 2012. Has seen the greatness and the despair of the Georgia fan from the 2012 season all the way to today. So I think that it's a perfect summation of the bourbons in the Georgia Bulldogs.
That's great.
It's a great bourbon, low proof. I think it's like 86 proof. Yeah, it's like right at 87 proof. So it's pretty smooth. But Evan Williams is the first distiller in the state of Kentucky, the first commercial distiller in the state of Kentucky. So
I did not know that.
So Evan Williams was the first to kind of create the big distillery that you think of today.
Gotcha.
So you have a lot of the bourbon game today is thanks to what he started.
Gotcha. Man, we're getting that was like a bonus fun fact, John.
It was a bonus fun fact.
In the middle of the banter, we're already getting fun facts. I like it. I like it. We're off to a good start.
Yeah. It was, maybe that's a segue into some other fun facts, but we'll get into the news and notes and all that. We'll do the usual format.
We can do the usual.
Otherwise, I know that you're gonna like be anal retentive about it.
No, that's okay. We can go off the rails. You know what? All right, why don't I veer straight off the rails? I have something. I figure now is as good of a time as any to do this because this is totally unrelated to Kentucky, but it does give me a chance to rant about me being an old man and not liking the schedule changes and teams being moved around. We should be playing Auburn this week. Okay. Traditionally. And this Wednesday marks the 20th anniversary of that win at Auburn, the David Green to Michael Johnson touchdown for Georgia to clinch the first ever SEC East championship. You know, that was the first time we ever went to the SEC championship game. So I'm going to try something here, John. So go over to I don't know what you got up on your computer, but for you, go and look at your screen. We're going to do something, and it's got good audio. So even in the podcast medium, should be good to go there. Are you ready? Can you see that?
I can see the screen sharing.
Crowd roars at us. 3 wideouts. Man, we've had some shots, haven't we? Snap to David Green. There he goes in the corner again, and we jump up. Touchdown! Oh, God, a touchdown in the corner. With 85 seconds, somebody went up high. Was it Watson or Gibson? Michael Johnson up high. We're trying to put glasses on it, and they stagger down into the screen and the fence in the corner. Michael Johnson turned around and got up in the air. We caught the ball.
Yeah, I love him.
Man, I miss him.
So good. So just had to share that. That team was actually supposed to be honored on the field. I don't remember if we talked about that or not. I heard that elsewhere that they were supposed to be honored. I think it was the Samford game, the game where like it was supposed to rain so bad, and then like it ended up not raining, and they canceled like the whole on-field celebration for that team for their 20th anniversary. So I don't know if they're going to pull something together for them to be honored at the Tech game or anything. If only we had a guy affiliated with Dog Central. We'll have to ask. We'll get word to George Foster. We'll find out.
I know, right? George, what's up, man? Oh, man, that was awesome.
Had to share that.
That was awesome. So that was 20 years ago today, or
on Wednesday this week.
Tomorrow. Okay.
So that game was November 16th, 2002.
Got it.
So,
man, that's awesome. Wasn't there another? Didn't we play Arkansas in the SEC championship in 2002?
That was that year. Yep.
Yeah, I was about to say. I knew that. I was looking at it because we're playing LSU, and they have 2 losses, and that year we played Arkansas. They had 2 losses, and I don't know. The SEC championship has the same kind of vibe as the Arkansas game to me.
Yeah.
But I digress.
No, yeah, and I mean, that year it was interesting because both the SEC race that year really came down to the wire. Like we clinched the East on our last conference game, and then back then Arkansas LSU, I'm pretty sure they used to they played in the last game of the season, and I feel like they played like on Thanksgiving Day. They either played on Thanksgiving Day or Friday, and I remember it was Arkansas LSU that year, like for the West. And it came down to that last game. Arkansas beat LSU to clinch the West to play us. So this year, Georgia and LSU obviously know ahead of time. So, sorry to veer off. I know that's not related to Kentucky, but it is timely.
We veered way off.
very off. I guess we can. Well, let's see. What else? I guess what do you got going on this weekend? What do you got? You got anything big going on this weekend?
Let's see. This weekend. No, the only thing of note is we don't have a whole lot of soccer going on Saturday, so I should be able to not have to worry too much about missing any games or whatever. They have like a scrimmage on Saturday morning, but I do know that I will be making Ponda's famous bean dip again because it has been requested by my daughters multiple times this week. So shout out to Ponda.
Amazing. I love it.
And my doctored version of it.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
But yeah, other than that, Carter's soccer team apparently they added the Atlanta United Academy team to the schedule again. So we're gonna head over to the proving ground over with the Atlanta United training ground, and we're gonna play Atlanta United again.
Gotcha. Okay. Got it. Cool, man. Yeah, I don't think we have much going on this weekend at all. So just kind of, yeah, we'll be hanging around watching the game. I need to get the hard top back on Kim's Wrangler. I'm going to attempt.
Is it getting chilly?
Yeah. I'm going to attempt to remember to do that this weekend. I should have done it last weekend with the night game. I had like all day Saturday to do it, and I didn't think about it. So need to get that done. So been having some issues with it. So Ella is the first to leave in the morning to go to high school. They go so early, and her car, like her windows are all frozen over, and she like doesn't know what to do. So we've been talking about doing a little musical cars to maybe let her park in the garage so that so she doesn't have to deal with that. So
that's so funny.
Yeah. These are the issues you don't think of, or until you get this. You have the driver in the family. So at any rate,
fortunately, we have a one of the reasons we loved this house was that it had ample space on the driveway, so we can park a lot of cars in our driveway. So yeah. Hopefully, we won't have to worry too much about that.
Yep. All right. Well, we can get in. We can head into the matchup. I suppose. So what's up?
I was just about to say, we have a football game. I forgot.
We do have a football game. Yeah, sorry. As I'm like talking about Georgia Auburn for 2002. So kickoff is Saturday at 3:30. So we are on the big CBS game of the week once again. Although this game is, not so much what they thought it was going to be, I guess, when they picked it. Certainly isn't what we thought it would be at the beginning of the season. But playing at Kroger Stadium in Lexington, Kentucky. Georgia comes in at 10-0, 7-0 in the SEC. Kentucky is at 6-4, 3-4 in the SEC. So a bit of a drop off for these guys. We lead the all-time series 61-12-2. We're recording Monday this week, so the new CFP rankings aren't out, but I think it's safe to assume that we'll still be unanimous number one across all three polls. Kentucky is not ranked. So with it being CBS, we'll get back to, Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, and Jenny Dell. And the official hashtag that we won't use is hashtag UGA versus UK. This is going to be a cold one. So we thought last weekend was cold. On Saturday, partly cloudy, high of 36, a low of 19. For what I could tell, it should be 35 at kickoff. So if you're going, bring your starter jacket. I feel like a lot of people would say don't wear the jacket Kirby wore. I heard a lot of negative feedback on Kirby's jacket from the Mississippi State game. I don't know, John, if you had this, but I had multiple people text me that they didn't like Kirby's jacket.
Man, we are a petty bunch, aren't we? With the uniforms. I guess I don't run in the same uniform circles that you do. I guess that you and Hunter and John are really the closest that I have to the uniform and apparel Nazis. But I did think it was odd, but like I was like, he's wearing a jacket. Like normally he doesn't wear a jacket. Normally he wears like a pullover or whatever. But
right, he has cold.
Yeah, he was chilly, guys. Like
he was cold.
Give the guy a break.
Yeah, there was no red on it. It was like gray and black. I don't know, but whatever. It's the Nike team issued stuff. Oh, I don't. I actually meant to text you this. I don't know if you noticed. I did see a staffer on the sideline. I have no idea who it was wearing the infamous Kirby sweatshirt. So other people have it. Nice. I saw one on the sideline against Mississippi State. So it's out there.
I'm hoping that you and I can get one because we talked about this. We got to get a bootleg situation. Come on, man.
Yeah, we're hopeful. All right, that's it. That's what I got on the matchup. I just wanted to run down a couple of fun facts, not Kentucky related. So I'll do mine quickly.
Okay.
So Georgia joins Ohio State and Michigan as the only schools that are ranked in the country's top 10 in scoring offense and scoring defense right now. So we've got that going right now. And then we have been ranked number 1 or 2 in 25 of the last 27 AP polls, and the other 2 weeks we're at number 3. So pretty historic times here in Georgia. What a time to be alive. And then I know this graphic was up in the when we clinched against Mississippi State, but just to call it out, Kirby has already tied Mark Richt for, I believe it's the third most SEC championship appearances for a head coach, behind only Nick Saban and Steve Spurrier. So pretty impressive. And he's done that in only 7 years. So 5 SEC championship appearances in 7 years for Georgia since Kirby came. It's been impressive. It's been a fun ride. And hopefully we're just still getting used to it. So those are my things.
Okay. Let's see. Where do I want to start here? Let's go with the fun facts for Kentucky. So let's go with their name. Do you know where the name they get their nickname from?
The Wildcats? No, I actually don't know.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So it is coined by the head of the military department at the time, in 1909. The name Wildcat became synonymous after they beat Illinois. Shout out Will Leach. They beat Illinois 6-2 on October 9th, 1909, on the road. And okay. I guess that a famous guy, Commandant Corbusier, if I'm saying that the right way, told a group of the students, described the game, that they fought like wildcats. So okay. I actually like hearing that. I'm like, are you sure that they meant wildcat, or did they say wild hats?
Wild hats?
No, cats, like
okay.
Wild, like feral cats.
Got it. One word or two word. Gotcha.
Not a bobcat. Not a bobcat.
Right. Got it. Okay, I've caught up.
I just thought that was funny. But yeah, so it pretty much, like, I guess it's stuck from there. So it's been around for a while. But yeah, I was just Googling. I believe that this was another ag school previously. But I don't see anything about that they were the Aggies or anything like that. So
gotcha.
That's the first fun fact. Kentucky was much like our opponent last week. They are one of the 10 founding members of the SEC, and I don't know if we've ever like discussed anything like this. But like, can you name the other 9? I mean,
gosh,
you got two layups. So.
Right. Okay. I'm going to attempt. All right. So we got Georgia and Kentucky, Georgia Tech, Sewanee.
Yep. We've talked about that one.
Yeah. Tulane.
Yep. Well, it wasn't. Hold on. Point of clarification. It was not Sewanee. It was known as something.
Okay.
Else.
It was called all right. University of the South.
Yes.
Okay. Man,
you're on a roll.
Ticky tack here. So Alabama. Auburn, Mississippi State. I only got 2 more, right? Oh man,
you have 1, 2, 3, 4 more.
I've counted up to 8.
Did you? Did I miss some?
I don't know. Man, well, now I'm like, wait, I said Auburn and Alabama already, right?
You said Auburn, Alabama. You said Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi State, Georgia, Tulane, Georgia Tech, University of the South. That's 7. So you got 3 more.
Okay. I thought I said another one. Oh, and Kentucky. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Kentucky.
Yeah. So I got 2 more. Man, and I'm totally stalling. Tennessee.
2 more. Well, 3 more, technically.
What? Florida?
All
right. That was 10.
Vandy and LSU.
Oh, wait. So why can't I count?
I don't know, man.
Okay, sorry. So Vanderbilt. Am I still missing 1 more?
No, that was
now I've totally lost count.
I went ahead and filled it in for you. Yes, Ole Miss.
Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry. And the funny thing is, it's just because I can't count.
you were told that there would be no math.
Still did be no math. Oh my gosh, I don't know how I lost count there. Sorry.
That was brutal.
That was pretty good. I did pretty good.
You did pretty good. Yeah, I put you on the spot. You were not expecting to be on the spot.
No, that's okay. I like that. I like being on the spot. No worries. I should know this. Like I have I've got that book, Southern Fried Football, written by our fraternity brother, Tony Barnhart. That's kind of what it's all about. So it's been a while since I've actually read that, but at any rate.
So I'm going to give you another thing that you might be surprised by. Can you name Kentucky's all-time rival? Like what is their biggest rival?
What is it like in the most games played against, or how are we? Can I? This is why I'm putting on my John hat. Clarifying question, John. What do you mean? You mean they've played them the most times, or like the most heated rival?
They've played them the most times.
I mean, like Alabama?
No.
Yeah. That was a bad guess.
So you have in your head like who their like most hated rival is, right?
Yeah. Well, see,
we're talking about two different teams is basically what's going down.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. I mean, so because I would almost think, see, this is the thing where it's like weird because, with Georgia has all the multiple rivals. So like for Kentucky, you're thinking like, like Louisville is their in-state, but I could see it maybe being Tennessee, maybe Florida. I don't know.
Which one?
Tennessee or Florida? Do I have to pick?
I'll give you a pick. I'll give you a narrow.
I'll go Tennessee.
For you.
I'm going to go Tennessee.
It is Tennessee.
Okay.
You are correct, sir. Apparently those two whiskey making states have played each other quite a few times.
Okay.
So Kentucky's biggest rival in most sports is Louisville, but no other football program has played Kentucky more often than Tennessee.
Okay. Got it.
So they've played. Tennessee and Kentucky have locked horns or whatever 108 times in the last 114 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
makes sense.
I don't know how big. I don't know how many years is the Georgia Auburn rivalry.
How many years?
Yeah, because Georgia and Auburn are the Deep South's oldest rivalry.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure we started playing before. But yeah.
Well, yeah, before those guys. But anyway, I just thought that's one of those like unique. I when I read that, when I learned that, I was like, I didn't know that Kentucky and Tennessee were such rivals.
I mean, I'm sure they played. I mean, because we've hardly played Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly.
Way bigger. Yeah. That's interesting. That's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting in the context of your favorite topic, expansion, and what it means to the traditions of college football. That could be another one of those long rivalry that nobody talks about. That's just been ingrained into like the fabric of the SEC, and these two are founding members of the SEC, and so anyway, I was impressed by that because I'd never heard that before.
No, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, because that's not a game that anybody's gonna like fight to protect. I wouldn't think, when expansion comes. So that's a good call.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to help you out here on
I appreciate it.
Old man yelling at a cloud. All right, I got a couple more, and then we can move on to the supposed game that we're going to have on Saturday. Kentucky is synonymous with the the blue and the white, and don't they do a checkerboard? Like, isn't there like a checkerboard kind of thing, kind of like Tennessee, which maybe that's part of the rivalry too?
Yeah, I know there is now. I don't know where they came from, but they have it on their sleeves sometimes even. So yeah.
Right. So anyway, blue and white, right? That's kind of like the colors they're known by. I don't know if it's an accident that Kroger is also blue and white, but I digress. Because they play on Kroger Field, right?
Correct.
That was
yes.
Called. That was not their original colors. Do you know what Kentucky's original colors were?
Oh, I have no clue. But red and white. I'm just gonna.
False.
Okay.
It's always been blue. I guess that it was. I guess that the color, the actual color blue, was derived from I guess like an event in December of 1891 where people were asking like what color blue do they wear, and a member of the football team ripped off his necktie and held it up, and students like basically adopted that particular color of blue.
Okay. Got it.
But literally like a year later, they changed their colors to blue and white. But prior to that, so prior to 1891, they had their colors were blue and light yellow. So like I don't know. I don't know exactly what shade. I didn't bother to like go and like investigate like what kind of color. Are we talking like UCLA kind of thing or like what?
Right. Yeah. Kent State has a bit of that, or has had
Kent
a bit of that
State?
in the
There you
past.
go.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Interesting.
Anyway, but yeah, basically since 1892, they've been blue and white, but prior to that, they were blue and light yellow.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
Let's see. What was the last one that I had? Shoot. Oh, the last one is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of more like state centric, but it is part of their like traditions that they have.
Mhm.
The song "My Old Kentucky Home."
Mhm.
Have you've heard this song before?
I have. Yeah.
Are you familiar with what it means and what the history is? I feel like I'm like delving into some topics that they might discuss on Chapel Bell, but um, are you familiar? Are you familiar with what My Old Kentucky Home is about?
I'm actually not. No, I can't. I don't know offhand. No.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting because they sing it at all these big like Kentucky events, and you sing it, and like I guess it's like one of those songs that you just don't really think about like the meanings behind stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're just the words are like my old Kentucky home, and you're supposed to just like forget about what the writer was actually intending it to be. It's actually it's a song that's like sung as an anti-slavery song, right?
Okay.
It's actually from the perspective of slaves singing about and lamenting about slavery. And it's actually like they're singing about someone, you know, taking away husbands and things like that. So it's actually kind of a sad song to a certain degree. But anyway, that's it's condemning Kentucky's enslavers and, you know, selling husbands away from their wives and all the things that slavery entailed. But the writer Foster, he was he's one of America's first professional songwriters. So he's actually from Pennsylvania. The guy basically became like this kind of famous songwriter, which at the time was like the first of its moment, and he became that way because of copyright laws. So songs like My Old Kentucky Home and things like that he wrote, he's actually able to make a pretty good living on, and actually selling like some of his original works and things like that actually made a lot of money for him. But yeah, that's kind of the origin of that song, which I thought was interesting because I've never really delved into it. But yeah, you know, Kentucky is let's start on. I can't end my fun facts on such a negative. Let's find another more positive note to come off of. So we were talking about the SEC championships with our last opponent, Mississippi State, who's never won the SEC. Kentucky actually has won the SEC. So of the original members that we just talked about, not Mississippi State, who has won the SEC the more recently, other than like the traditional powers that you would, you know, typically think of? And I probably didn't frame this question the right way, but I'm going to arrive at something that's going to make someone very sad.
So that it's the fact that it's not Ole Miss. Are we making Hunter sad?
Yes, I'll just go ahead. So Kentucky has won an SEC championship more recently than Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's where I thought you were going. Okay.
We'll just rip the Band-Aid off.
Rip it off for Hunter. Sorry, Hunter. Okay. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Those are good ones, John. Those are good ones. Good fun facts.
Yeah. So Ole Miss has actually won more SEC championships, obviously. But Ole Miss last SEC championship was in 1963, which is 13 years before Kentucky's most recent conference championship.
Gotcha.
So they have a 39-year drought. Kentucky.
Okay. Got it. Good ones, John. Good ones. Bringing it hard with the fun facts. Nice.
Yes.
Alrighty. Let's see. A couple of news and notes. One, the Georgia Tech game time was announced. So as we anticipated, that's a noon kickoff next Saturday. So just FYI on that. I think we're like the first reigning national champion to not have a night game since it's like 1999 or something crazy like that. But I think didn't really want this one to be a night game. It would have been nice to have a different night game, but Kirby doesn't want a night game the week before the SEC championship. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'm cool
Right.
with it. I just would prefer more night games at home. Like that's
Right.
really the
Well, yeah, it does. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
at
I mean,
some
the
at
ones
some
that we
point
got were
I'm
on the road.
hoping that ESPN when they take over this TV contract that they'll give us some 4 o'clock games. Like, can I just get like a sweet spot and then in the middle of the
That's what I
afternoon?
was. That's what I was hoping. I was hoping that Georgia Tech would be at whatever the time. There's a SEC network game that's at either like 3 or 4. I was hoping for that, but again, we're getting the quote unquote more prestigious slot at noon on Big ESPN against Georgia Tech because that slot actually that I wanted is Kentucky Louisville actually that weekend. So that's that. And then for Kirby's press conference, just some injury updates. So we had talked about Javon Bullard. We weren't sure what was going on there. So Kirby said he has a lower leg contusion. We fully expect him to be able to play. So that's good. And then getting the hopeful kiss of death was once again AD Mitchell. Like Kirby went through this whole like diatribe around like all these like reasons like why he couldn't play and why he's been held up, etc. But then he said, so we're again hopeful to get him back this week, but it will be day by day. So I wouldn't expect to see AD Mitchell based on that. So we'll see. We got to continue to wait for him.
I read an article. I don't know who wrote it, but like it actually was painting a much more bleak picture of AD Mitchell's situation. I don't know if this was before or after the press conference, but I don't know. Like reading that article, I was like, man, are we ever going to see him again? Like this year?
Right. It sounded what Kirby was saying was very bleak because he went into some details around like doing the surgery like that Arian Smith had to like tighten everything up was not an option for AD for whatever. And I'm not a doctor. I have no idea why it would or wouldn't be, but he couldn't get that surgery done. So like Arian Smith had that. I think Tua had that. Kirby went through a couple other examples and that wasn't an option for AD. So yeah, it doesn't sound good. Doesn't sound good.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of at the point now, and I feel like that. I don't know. The offense is kind of at a point now where they've kind of just decided that he's probably not going to be factoring much at all. And you're probably looking at a situation like a George Pickens where they're coming in the national championship game or something, or a playoff or something like that, where they're contributing, in package situations.
Right. Yep. For sure.
I have, I was super. I'm actually like super sad. Like I know. I'm beyond like frustrated that he has been. I hate it for him, man, because I feel like that this was a breakout season for him, and it just it pains me that he's hurt. So I'm there with you, man. I hate it.
Yeah, and especially when we got to see him look that part against Oregon, like he had such a good game against Oregon. So and really everywhere, right? Like catching the ball, blocking, everything. So
I mean, I hope that he can fully recover. And he's got more eligibility, so he could come back. But I really thought that he and Stetson had made a connection, that they built on it, and the pass that he had with I thought that was a Devontae Smith situation, and he was going to ride that into the season, into a potential like Heisman run. I really thought that he would be that person and earn himself millions upon millions of dollars in the process.
Yep. Yeah. So he's one of those guys where, I mean, he's a true sophomore, but from what I understand, he like took a year off in between high school and college. So it's all about when you graduate high school. So he will be 3 years removed from high school. So he's draft eligible, but he has, with COVID, I think he has like, or wait, maybe he wasn't here the COVID year, or was he? So
he took a year off. He took a year off high school. I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's something like, or he like went to, it's like he like went to like military school for a year. I forget what it's. There's a name for a lot of people do this. Like Larry Fitzgerald did the same thing back like in when he was in college.
Is this like a Hargrave military situation?
Yeah,
like what we used to do.
Good question. I'm actually not sure. I think like prep school. I think basically is
school.
The term. So I'm not actually 100% sure that's what he did, but I know there was an extra year there somewhere. So yeah. So he's draft eligible, but he could stay for at least 2 more years. So
got it.
Happier thing. I got a funny thing I thought from our guy Kieris. So Kieris, after his big day last weekend, he had made media availability today. He got a question about having multiple tight ends in the field, and how that affects wide receiver playing time. And here was Kearis' answer. I love this. He said, if something is working, why stop it? That's my mindset. I'm here to win games. I'm not here to have 1,000 yards, 20 touchdowns. If I wanted to come in for that, I would have went somewhere else. But I'm trying to put championship years on our walls and trying to be a national champion, an SEC champion. So whatever Coach Monken feels like is going to put us in the best situation to win, I'm down for it. That's our guy, Kearis, John. That's our guy. Love it.
I need to go. I need a cold shower, Jim. That was just that was borderline erotic. I need a minute.
Oh my gosh.
Let me go have a cigarette and finish this bourbon, and I'll be right back.
Oh man. Yeah, never doubt Kearis, and never doubt him for a good quote either.
Never doubt him for a good interview.
Holy cow! Like the guy needs to be in media availability every week. So good for Kearis. We were stoked to see him have the game he did this past weekend, and I'm sure that's what sent him out there front and center today. So it's pretty awesome. Good stuff from Kearis.
Yeah, the broadcast crew on the last game was also like complimentary of him. Just I think that he was it not Blackledge.
McDonough.
He was very complimentary of Kearis. He was like, by all accounts, a very nice gentleman. Like he was, oh wow, that literally like that was unprovoked. So clearly struck a nerve somewhere for him. So
right,
man, the officially unofficial wide receiver Mike Got a podcast is never doubt Kearis.
That was good stuff. Good stuff. All right, well let's dive in. Let's talk about what to look for when Georgia has the ball on offense. So I do have a couple of things.
The end.
Nice. So here's just a couple of notes on Kentucky's defense. So their leading tackler is DeAndre Square. He's a linebacker. If you kind of look across their defense, like not a lot of like names are like jumping out, a bit of a no-name defense, but Kirby said that they are a tough physical team. That's kind of what they're known for. And he was saying that you can kind of ask our players that they'll say the same thing. So I was just kind of looking through some numbers, and one thing I will say is as far as points allowed per game. So Kentucky allows 20 points a game. That's the best defense we played all year as far as points they're allowing. That's still true if you only include their Power 5 opponents. So against the Power 5, they're allowing 23.43 points a game. So relatively low. And they're actually the number 3 defense in the SEC as far as points allowed per game. So behind only Georgia and Alabama. So that hasn't so much been their issue is their defense. It's been more their offense. So they're going to be physical. They're going to come out. I mean, this is, that's kind of their brand of football, right? So they're going to come out there. They're going to be physical. They kind of try to do what we try to do. Like they try to win the way that we used to, I guess, so much because our offense is so much more explosive than theirs, especially this season. But they're going to come out and they're going to try to, I think they're going to come out and they're going to try to stop the run. And, if you read Graham's 12 takeaways this week, I think what he was main thing he was pointing to is that's not enough anymore when you're playing Georgia, because even if you take away the run, we can throw it. So don't think that'll be enough.
I agree. Let's just are we talking? Let's just talk their defense, since it seems like that's kind of it feels like that's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. Our offense, their defense.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a rundown of the teams that have comprised those statistics.
Okay, fair.
And you tell me if this makes you feel any better about it. Because like when I hear you say that, like basically, nobody scored more than 20 points on this team, right? Like what was the average points per game?
Well, average, yeah. So the average points per game is 20 points a game, but that's against all competition.
Yeah.
If you filter out down to the Power 5, it goes up.
I mean, it's November. It's November, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's enough of a body of work to kind of make it a consideration, right?
Yep.
So when you say that out loud, I'm like, oh,
right.
How is the spread 22.5 or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
So let's run through the teams.
Okay.
Kentucky has played Miami, Ohio.
Which Georgia beat in basketball tonight, by the way. That's my basketball second.
Nice. A fun fact. I love it. What's basketball? All right, sorry.
Continue.
they've played Florida. They played Florida in the second game of the season back when, AR-15 wasn't throwing touchdowns.
Right.
They played Florida. They played Youngstown State.
Right.
They've played Northern Illinois.
Right.
They played Ole Miss, which
Yep.
They played South Carolina. They played Mississippi State. Womp womp.
Yep.
They played Tennessee. They've played Missouri, and they've played Vanderbilt to this point.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, dude, like that is just a gauntlet of offense, isn't it?
Right. Right.
I mean, we literally just named off, with the exception of maybe Ole Miss, and I'd have to go back. To be perfectly transparent, like I didn't dissect that game or anything like that.
I'll say that game broke them, man, because they were,
that was their first loss.
It was their first loss. They were
of the season.
4-0 going into that game, and they lost that game, and then they kind of fell apart. So,
well, yeah. They kind of fell apart. They lost to South Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. They lost to South Carolina. Yeah.
They lost it. So here's the comparable, right? Like, so Tennessee basically has an offense that is effectively, marginally better than us. And they beat Tennessee won 44-6.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So that tells me that through all of that, and like I said, without going too much into the Ole Miss thing, I'll let Graham and Chapel Bell Curve and those guys like dissect the all that. But I'm just looking at the Tennessee game as a comparable, and that's probably why the line is 22.5.
Yeah, probably. I am interested to see. I meant to mention this earlier, but I'll just say it now because our offense did have to deal with the cowbells last week, right? So it's a very loud environment. Even though Mississippi State, they got a better record than Kentucky, even though Kentucky did beat Mississippi State. But so what I'm curious is what's the environment going to be like at Kentucky, considering they're coming off this loss to Vanderbilt? Are their fans, because they usually get like way up for Georgia. And I mean, I guess, we're the number one team in the country coming in there. I would assume they're going to get up for it. It's 3:30 kickoff. But we'll see. I'm curious to see what kind of environment we're walking into. Is it going to be loud and noisy, or is Georgia going to take over the stadium?
Okay. So we'll see. Given what we saw in Starkville, and this is why I like when you mentioned the points per game, like what their defense is giving up and all that stuff. Like, oh man, that makes me worry. And then like in the back of my head for like a split second, Jim, I was like, man, we're going on the road. It's going to be a night game again in Kentucky, or afternoon game in Kentucky. Well, you know what I mean. It'll be cold.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And it's hard to play on the road in the SEC, right? Like, if we start turning the ball over, like what is it going to look like? But there's probably going to be a lot more Georgia fans at this Kentucky game that I feel like anybody really recognizes, because it sets up very similar to like a vacation, right? Because so this weekend for a lot of counties in Georgia, and this is a little inside baseball, Mr. North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah, hit me.
So this weekend is setting up like a vacation for a lot of folks in the state of Georgia. And I'm going to tell you why. So Cobb County schools are out next week. Thanksgiving break starts next Monday, which I was super bummed to hear because I've had kids home sick for the last like week and a half, I feel like. Yeah. So I've got to have them home again. But yeah, so what I feel like is going to be happening for a lot of folks, and I'm not sure, maybe you can chime in, DeKalb, Fulton, Paulding, what are some of the other counties around Metro Atlanta, but Gwinnett, I'm not sure, but like for Cobb County, which is there's a lot of Georgia fans in Cobb County, they're looking at a week off and a game in Kentucky this weekend. So a lot of folks, I feel like, are going to take advantage of that and drive up to Kentucky, and they're going to do what you and your dad did when driving through the north, and they're going to stop along the Bourbon Trail. And there's a lot of folks that are just packaging this up into their Thanksgiving break, and Kentucky is about to get taken over, I feel like.
Nice. Yeah, that would be good to help the crowd.
There's going to be a lot of red. I mean, like I said, just look at all the people that went to Mississippi State and Starkville in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah,
where people had to stay in Tuscaloosa, which probably
yes, right.
Seeing the videos of everybody like driving from Tuscaloosa with their UGA national championship stuff is amazing to me.
Right. Yeah. No, seriously.
But yeah, I mean, people traveled to Starkville for nothing, right? And this is like I said, for a lot of folks is on the heels of a vacation. So I think we're gonna show up in Kentucky and surprise them.
Yep, I like it. Anything else? I guess I don't actually know. I think we've got some more listener questions about the offense later too, so that's probably good. Unless you got anything else.
Are we going to the offense or whatever? I mean,
okay,
I talked a lot about Kentucky's defense and what their schedule sets up and why the spread is what it is. Our offense, again, I said this on Twitter before we jumped on the recording. Like I'm over it at this point. There's not a team in the country that can beat the University of Georgia except for the University of Georgia. If Stetson Bennett doesn't throw interceptions, if our running back core doesn't fumble the ball, God bless them. I hope that Kirby Smart has just finally just had it with the fumbles, because it's an issue. It's a legit concern that I have as we move forward into tougher games in SEC championship, and by all measures looks like we're going to be in the college football playoff. Run the table the rest of the way. As things get harder, it's going to be harder to overcome those turnovers and do what we've done against teams like Florida, against Mississippi State, to overcome multiple turnovers. We're sitting right now at -2 turnovers.
Yeah,
that's not good. That's not good, and we're still beating the crap out of people.
Right. Yep.
So
agreed.
From an offensive standpoint, we just got to hold on to the ball. Literally protect the ball, and we're going to beat everybody. And I think Kirby Smart knows that, and I think that's part of the reason why, when people are complaining, or you hear pundits talking about, there's no style points or whatever. If we're up 2 scores, he's shutting it down, because nobody's going to beat us.
Right. Fair enough. All right. Well, before we move on to the defense, I just want to take a moment to remind everyone that season 3 of My God, a Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. If you want to commemorate the Dogs' national championship in style, you've got to check out their Georgia national championship timepieces. And reminder, we talked about this last week, but just a reminder for everyone, there's now a watch that has been added to the collection. So the Alethea 2 is the first women's watch in the collection. It comes with both a stainless steel herringbone mesh strap. You can also swap that out for a nice white alligator leather strap. So if you're a Gator hater, your lady's a Gator hater, maybe you want to get her this fine watch, this is the one for you. And additionally, complimentary custom engraving is included in your purchase. So definitely go check them out at oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. And always remember, exclusively for our listeners, you can get 10% off of these timepieces by using the code MyGottaPodcast at checkout.
And ladies, if you're listening, I know that there are some ladies out there that do listen. Adrian, yes. Valkyrie Dog, Mandy, if y'all are listening, drop the hints to your husbands, because I promise you that they're probably clueless. So just start dropping the hints.
Love it.
You need the ladies' watch, because it's beautiful.
It is. It's pretty cool looking. Pretty cool. All right. Let's talk about the Georgia defense / the Kentucky offense. So what are we looking for when Kentucky has the ball? So just run through some players. So Will Levis, future number 1 overall pick. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I think I told you, right, when Lily and I went to a Panthers game, the guy behind me was like, well, I don't know. Everyone says that Will Levis guy is going to be the number 1 pick. And I turned around and I was like, no. So anyways, so he's 154 of 233. So 66% completion percentage. He's thrown for 2,012 yards, 16 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Chris Rodriguez is their leading rusher, 134 carries for 733 yards and 6 touchdowns. He is their workhorse back. He was out early in the year. He was suspended for the first few games, but he is back now. At receiver, they've got a trio basically between Tavion Robinson, Barian Brown, and Dane Key. They all have pretty similar stats. And I think the big issue for this offense is they are missing Wan'Dale Robinson. So that was their little speedy receiver last year. That was kind of their Mr. Everything. And I think they're missing him this season. I think that's kind of been their issue on offense.
Yeah. I don't know, Jim. It is, I guess a question that I might ask of this offense is, or this team in general, is there anybody that's lost more money than Will Levis this season? I guess one could argue Mark Stoops has lost more money because coming into the season, people were talking about Mark Stoops as like, is he going to coach Oklahoma or whatever? Like, there were some rumblings that he was going to potentially like take a bigger job, right?
Yeah.
I think that any hopes that he had of, switching to a stepping stone situation has probably been closed.
Yeah. I never got the Will Levis hype in the first place, but I don't know if he has a huge arm or something. The NFL is weird with measurables sometimes. So who knows? Maybe he hits the measurables and he still gets drafted relatively high, but I would tend to agree with you.
Listen, Jim, there's a gentleman by the name of Tom Brady that was not a very, I guess he was pretty decent in Michigan or whatever, but like, I don't know. He'll probably make us all look like idiots and eventually become the next Tom Brady.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, who knows? Or he could be the next Tim Couch.
Or he could be the next Tim Couch. Oh,
hey. Okay, so reminder. I do have a reminder that last year, so this is a defensive thing. So last year, we gave up a touchdown to them. They did the epitome of the desperately trying to score. Remember last year they scored with like 4 seconds left. Their offense, Stoops was like calling timeouts with inside of 10 seconds to get a touchdown in at the end of the game, even though we won like 30-13. So maybe we'll see them do that, do the desperation trying to score again.
Yeah, there's a world, like I said in the last game, as long as we protect the ball, like we gave 14 points away to Mississippi State, there's a world where they could be in the desperation mode of trying to score that touchdown. So
yeah. I mean, they're a ball control team, right? Like they're going to, as far as like what they're going to try to shorten the game and chew the clock. Right. I mean, that's what they do. They're going to try to limit Georgia's possessions, et cetera, keep Georgia's offense up the field by having crazy long drives. So as long as we can get out to some semblance of a lead, like they can't catch up, because that's what happened last year. We were up big and they were still doing these long methodical drives. Like that's all they can do. So that's how they're built. That's what they're built to do.
I mean, the only way that they're going to be able to do that is if they try to run the ball. And if you try to run the ball on this team, good luck.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. There's not much.
Again, like welcome back, Jalen Carter. He's been phenomenal since he came back, and so this is a big game for him, I think. So,
I mean, yeah, I have a feeling that he's going to own them, right?
Yep.
Listen, so if last week was supposed to be that type of game, I listened to the boys at 100 Sanford, and I guess this would be a good time to plug, the squad. Go listen to 100 Sanford and what George Foster has to say. Lamar Lovelace, Graham, Tricketre, those guys are great. But I think that George had mentioned that he had wanted the last game, Mississippi State, that he thought that this would be a game where the youngsters could come out at halftime. Right. And all intents and purposes, it probably should have been that way. Had the punt return not happened, we probably would have been in that situation. This is a game where I would love for that to happen because we've got other things going on later in the season. I don't want anybody getting hurt, having a battle for a, 10, 15 point victory. I'd rather Stetson be sitting the pine the entirety of the second half. So in my opinion, I would love for us, and I'd be totally happy to be completely bombed on the Coach Trill's, predictions here. I will sacrifice my Coach Trill predictions for just give me a victory, a comfortable victory, even if it's like a 28-26 victory with the second string struggling the entirety of the second half, the third string struggling, with the walk-on struggling in the fourth quarter.
A 28-26 point spread victory, or we're winning this game 28-26.
Yeah, I don't.
I want to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like if they're scoring garbage touchdowns and then all of a sudden a 30-point win becomes a 20-point win or whatever.
Okay, got it. Just want to clarify. Okay, you're good.
Yeah, continue. Whatever. I don't care as long as we have the game in control, like we've seen. Like the Tennessee game. We were in control. The Mississippi State game, we were completely in control, but Stetson and those guys were still playing. Like, I mean,
right.
I don't want anybody to getting hurt at the last minute. And I'll tell you, I'm going to give you, for instance, when Ladd McConkey broke that touchdown, and at the very end of the touchdown run, that guy swiped his hand, and I, like, a part of me had to, like, my heart like skipped a beat. I was like, oh, is he gonna like roll his ankle on this? Like,
sorry, Carter.
I mean? Something like that.
Yeah, I gotcha. I knocked on my head, John, because you can't say these things. So I knocked on my head. Knock on wood.
I can't. Yeah, I'm knocking on the table multiple times.
That's okay. Okay, cool. Well, let's see. I've got special teams. I have a couple of notes on special teams. So first thing, I would like to fair catch all kickoff returns. Hopefully, I don't know if you've listened back to our review episode, John, but that did make the cold open.
I did. I did listen.
Sorry,
my family makes fun because you have the luxury of listening to this before the
right.
You have the luxury of putting it all together, so you don't have to like listen in front of your family. So when I try to listen and critique myself, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or why didn't I say this? Oh, I sound like an idiot.
You're working on your craft. I'm
doing film. It's film review. I'm doing film review, right? Like, come on.
Oh man, that's so good.
And so my family makes fun of me. Like, my kids are like, why do we have to listen to this?
That's so good.
But yeah, that was definitely a tidbit that I saw, and I haven't looked it up. In fairness, I haven't looked it up.
Oh, when did that rule change? I still can't remember.
When did that rule change?
It has been a while. I mean, it's been several years, but I can't remember when it was either.
I mean, like, that's one of those things. Like, this isn't football. You know what I mean? Like, if you fair catch it outside of the end zone, you got to take the ball there.
Yes, it was one of those like safety of the game kind of rule changes. So, but at any rate, my point on that is, well, twofold. One, hopefully we only have to return one kickoff for the entire game. So I obviously want to say that. But like, our kickoff returns have not been good. So just touchback, fair catch it, whatever. Let's start at 25. That's my first thing.
Yes,
another thing,
I agree.
Let's see, their kickers. They've got Matt Ruffalo is their field goal kicker. He's 12-19 on the year with a long 50 yards. And their punter is Colin Goodfellow, and he has an average of 41.5 yards per punt. John, I ask you, what happens when Goodfellow punts to the good lad?
I was just about to make that joke. You beat me to it. Dang it. It's a good fellow to the good lad. That would make my day. Listen, that would make my day.
We need to like slip that line to Brad Nessler. I'll have him slip that in here somehow. Okay. All right. So before we get into the listener questions, let's just want to remind everyone that My God, a Podcast is powered by Zencastr. So Zencastr is an all-in-one podcasting platform. When John and I set out to do this remote podcast, from 2 different states back in 2020, we had a bunch of research on what we could use because we had never done this before. And Zencastr is where we landed, and it's what we've been using since. So like I said, it's all in one. You can record, you can actually edit and produce. You can record both audio and video, and they now have hosting as well. So definitely recommend it if you are interested in starting your podcast. Be sure to go check them out. So just go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code MyGod. You'll get 30% off your first 3 months of Zencastr Professional. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. All right.
Oh, don't lie to the people, Jim. Don't lie to the people, Jim. You did all the research.
Well, okay, fair.
You called me up the day before this thing was supposed to start, right?
Hey, we've got. I tweeted out the text receipts of like, hey, you want to do a podcast? Okay,
it's that easy, dear listener. It's that easy.
I did the research. That is true. All right, so
it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Jim does all the work. We love you, Jim. Without Jim, we couldn't do this.
I appreciate it. I mean, this is where we get cheesy. Like, John couldn't. I mean, what am I going to do? Sit here and talk like by myself? I can't do that either. So, that would be interesting. It would be uninteresting. Okay, let's hit the listener questions. All right, John, question. I mean, Will Kaplan gave us like a Thanksgiving question. Do we want to answer that now, or should we punt that to next week?
I mean, I put up my Christmas lights, so might as well.
Okay. All right. Will Kaplan. Power rank these Thanksgiving sides. And I've got an update because he did clarify because he got called out. So I'm going to read it the new way. Mashed potato, dressing, green bean casserole, and then any other item you do with your respective families. So what's your number one power ranking amongst those, John? So to recap, mashed potatoes, dressing, and green bean casserole.
Okay. I feel like I feel like I'm gonna challenge you to go back to the drawing board on this question because I feel like this is an underrepresented list.
Well, just of these three. He only wants you to power rank these three. And then
just those three?
Yeah, he wants you to
and any other item you do with your respective families.
Okay, so what else?
That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff, bro.
This is why I said we need to punt to next week.
Fair. I'd say, Will, let's go back to the drawing board and build this question out a little bit more for the Thanksgiving week, which we will address in the review.
Okay, we can do that. We can do that
because by the time we do whatever the review or the preview, I guess
we'll record our tech preview because we got to travel. Or I have to travel for Thanksgiving. So yeah, our tech preview will be out before Thanksgiving. I can say that.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's move on. Sorry, Will. Hopefully you're cool with that.
There's just so many other options. I'll give you some things to think about.
No,
right?
Don't give examples.
No, you got to give examples.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to be asked to power rate these things.
Let's go.
You got mac and cheese. You got squash casserole. You've got cranberry sauce, right? Mm-hmm. Lots of cranberry sauce. You got sweet potato casserole. You've got let's see.
All right, I'm cutting you off. I think that's enough. That's
are there other things that you guys have or don't have or whatever? My father-in-law brings Brussels sprouts.
Right. Yeah, okay. So I mean, Will also wanted us to do like the chicken NCAA tournament style bracket. So let's work on this before Thanksgiving, and we'll get it short up a little bit more. All right.
Will's big on the food questions. I love it.
I know. I like it. Will is the reason why we've had Raising Cane's because he was so disappointed we didn't have it.
This is true.
Shout out, Will. All right, Zach, SC Dog 864. How bad do you have to be to lose to Vandy? And then he said, side note, Stetson is a better prospect for the NFL than Will Levis at this point. I think Kentucky actually, I mean, they fell into the trap game thing last week. I mean, they got caught looking ahead to Georgia and lost to Vanderbilt. So kids, don't look ahead to the next week's opponent. You always got to focus at the task at hand because humility is always only 60 minutes away.
Oh, that's Kirby Smart right there. Thank you, sir. How long you been waiting on that one?
Sorry. I would say
that sounded rehearsed.
It wasn't. I actually just came up with that. That was totally
nice.
I didn't write that down or anything. I don't write down listener question answers.
Okay.
I do read them ahead of time. I will say NFL people probably would disagree still for whatever reason, but yeah, I respect the dig at Levis. Chad Jarvis, you think the line versus Kentucky is too big? And do you guys think we will go into this game hoping to be more balanced than we were last week? Also, please, let's win the turnover battle. So, yeah, we hit the turnover battle earlier. What do you think, though, about the offensive balance? Do you think we're going to try to aim? Because we'll talk about the line when we get to the predictions. But you think we're going to look to be more balanced? I mean, last week, not a lot of rushing, right?
So
pretty much all in the air.
If I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm probably trying to do the same thing that Mississippi State did. Based solely on the fact that our running backs seem to cough the ball up.
Okay.
So if you were trying to scheme around this offense, you either like sit back and try to cover. Like I didn't mention this on the last episode, but like you look across the field and you're like, how do you defend Georgia? Well, they've got this guy Brock Bowers. He's really good. You got to cover him. And then it's like, well, if you cover him, like, what do you do about this guy named Darnell Washington? And then it's like, oh man, he's like a lineman, an offensive lineman running down the field against anybody on the field. And it's like, okay, well, you got those two guys. Well, then you've got, this guy Ladd McConkey. He's got track speed and can catch the ball and can literally do everything. Or you've got Rosemary Jack Saint, who has really come on. I feel like he's earning himself a lot more looks. And then you've also got this guy that you can't ever doubt, Kearis Jackson. In the backfield. Oh yeah, and by the way, they have a running back named Kenny McIntosh that catches balls in the back out of the backfield. Like literally, it's like pick your poison from a passing game perspective, right? So, do you trust your defense to try to sit back and like just cover somebody, or and at that point, you know, you're going to have numbers advantage up front with a running game. So that's where our running game would excel in a situation like that, where they're trying to sit back and take away the pass. But the formula against Stetson has always been, and probably will always be until, you know, the end of this season, maybe. The formula against this team in Stetson is to blitz the hell out of them. And like Graham said, you know, you could do that maybe last year, you could do it maybe the year before, but you ain't doing it this year, son.
Yeah. And as far as like are we gonna try to be more balanced? I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I don't really care anymore. Like, and we've talked about before, like the whole like take what the defense gives you. So yeah, you know, like I don't think you need to be like balanced for balance sake. Like what Bobo, I think, used to try to do that a lot. So you know, you got to run enough to keep him honest. But I mean, if we're throwing the ball around, I mean, yeah, dude, I can't believe like some things that are coming out of my mouth this season. Like I texted my dad on Saturday. I was like, can we please just stay in the shotgun? Like, like, why are we under center? Like, what are we even doing? And like, this is not. I was like, I can't believe I just said that. You know, but like, you know, whatever. Like, what do what's working. So I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna trust Monken to, you know, to take what they're giving us.
I agree. Trust Monken. There have been some times this season where I'm like, man, why are we doing that? Like,
oh yeah, I do that too.
Dejon Edwards, like off tackle, like just run that cannonball up the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Balance is not a thing for this team, especially given the fact that like a lot of the little quick outs are basically running plays. So it's hard to really. It's not like the Bobo days of old where it was like 50% pass, 50% run.
Exactly. Really, it had to be exactly 50-50.
Where it was like so obvious that this is a run play, this is a pass play. Like now it's a little bit more gray because things have evolved. We're not Neanderthals anymore.
What are you saying? I'm just kidding. We can't have a fullback. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
We're not old. This isn't old man football. Yeah,
that's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
Fullback.
This is modern football, is what I've been told. All right. 51-7 GATA. Back in the day, did you think the Dogs would ever tackle Jared Lorenzen? And he said, I did not.
I don't know. It's hard to tackle a refrigerator.
He said, you know, and of course, rest in peace. You know, he died a couple years ago. Very sad.
Yeah.
Dude was a monster to the point that Larry Munson referred to him as Godzilla. Like he had all these nicknames, like, you know, the hefty lefty, the round mound of touchdown, and then Munson would just call him Godzilla. But my story that I always tell, and I've probably told it on this podcast every time we played Kentucky, but I'm going to tell it again, is when I went up there in your freshman year, actually, John. In the year 2000, when we played at Kentucky, I remember, and I may not be getting this entirely right. Okay. I think it was Josh Millard was like hanging on Lorenzen's back, and Lorenzen like threw the ball backwards over his head, and it was a completed pass. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, how is this even possible? So that was also, by the way, total side note. That was Corey Phillips. Was quarterback that game. But I digress. But yeah,
you just mentioned two guys that I think are selling insurance from a buddy of friends of mine, a friend of mine's company.
Josh Millard and Corey Phillips.
I think so. I'm going to ask him. I'm pretty sure I know Corey Phillips is. I'm pretty sure Millard is too.
I have to ask Matt Moore.
David Green, Matt Sinscombe.
Okay. You mean John Sinscombe?
Sorry, John Sinscombe. Yep.
Got it.
Who else? Joe T.
Yes.
All of those guys are at my buddy's. Oh, Sonny Seiler.
Nice.
So when we make the jokes about insurance, like that's legit.
That is a real thing. That is true.
Shout out to Sterling Seacrest and partners.
Nice. So yeah. The man was hard to bring down. He was hard to bring down. Let's see. Fletcher Proctor. Will Levis puts mayo in his coffee. Ever tried it? And what's the weirdest thing that you do that you find delicious that others might find disgusting? Fletcher says that he enjoys cold gravy out of the can or jar. So this mayonnaise thing in coffee, like I cannot understand this. Like I like mayonnaise on a sandwich, but like
Wait, is that real? I thought it was a joke.
no, that's real. So at the SEC media days, he like showed it. There's video of him putting mayonnaise in his coffee.
What?
It's gross.
Is this guy from Canada? Because they put like mayonnaise on French fries, right?
Yeah.
That's like a Dutch. That's like a Dutch thing. So
right,
like,
I was gonna say, I think that's
is
more
he,
like Europe.
Is he Dutch?
I don't know, but yeah,
we're
so gross.
we're gonna put glasses on it.
I put glasses on it. Which the opening play that we reviewed from the Auburn game. That's where that call came from.
Yes.
But so, do you have anything weird? I was gonna say, like, I don't think this is weird, but you would say that it's gross just the fact that I eat pickles.
You eat pickles. I was just about to say, and olives. Ugh.
No. I don't do the olives. Those are the instructions for optional things on the BDF. I don't like olives. My kids do, and Kim does. I don't.
Ugh.
Or it was black olives. I don't like black olives either. But
I'm
anyways,
trying to think things that I like. Oh, well, I mean, have you ever had egg foo young?
I mean, yeah, I'm not huge on it, but I've had it.
My wife and kids think that egg foo young is disgusting, and I love it.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of anything else that like I'm a mixer. I'm a food mixer, so I would say that like I mix my food.
Okay.
So like when we're talking about like Thanksgiving and mashed potatoes and squash casserole and all that stuff, like I'll mix all this. I'll just mix it all together.
All right, I've got one that Kim makes fun of me. That I don't think this is weird because this is how I grew up, and I haven't done this in forever. But a spaghetti sandwich. So
spaghetti sandwich. Okay.
So we used to take like if you had like some like leftover meat spaghetti and then put it between two pieces of bread and just eat it as a sandwich.
Like garlic bread or like Wonder Bread?
Just like Wonder Bread. You can maybe toast it.
What?
Yeah, because it's a lot of carbs.
Kim, I am with you on this one. That's weird. That's weird AF. I thought you were gonna go garlic bread on me because I'm on board with the garlic bread spaghetti sandwich because I have definitely done that. I've done that at the table.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could do that, but I would just put it on bread. We can just put it on bread.
No,
so yeah,
that's weird.
Okay, so
weird.
so I feel like we found a worthy answer for Fletcher. All right,
I'm trying to think. It's like anything. Is there anything that I eat that's weird? I'm sure.
You just don't.
I have to ask my wife. I just ignore. I ignore the haters, Jim. I ignore the haters.
Fair.
You do you.
That's fair.
You just eat up all the pickles, and I'll throw them at you next time I see you. I'll be eating a Chick-fil-A sandwich. You're gonna have a pickle fly in your face.
Love it. Yeah, whatever. Pickles are good. I don't. Okay. Anyways,
hey man, I'm gonna give them to you.
So in the same vein, JR Real just chimes in. Do you think Levi's ate enough banana peel and drank enough mayonnaise with his coffee? And he added, "What did # sorry Carter?" So I love it when we get the sorry Carter in the form of a question. That was money.
All right, hold on. So we talked about the mayonnaise. Does he eat banana peels too?
Yeah. So that one I didn't even really notice that, but actually yes, I have seen a video of him. He eats like the whole banana. He just eats. I've seen a video of him just eating the entire banana.
I've got to see this video. Please send me this video. Oh my gosh! I'm about to go.
We'll put it in the show notes.
I
won't put it in the show notes, but I'm gonna say the name. All right, we got a fun game next, John. Hug Dog came at us with a game of Would You Rather. Did you see this?
So I know that this is like a good question because we got a ton of answers. I was like, wait, because I went on a date with my daughter today, and we were out at the bowling alley playing video games and all this stuff while my older kids played bowling or whatever. She didn't want to bowl. And I remember like I got home, I was like, holy cow, what the hell happened on Twitter? And it was all the people answering Jason's question. I was like, Jason, this is a great question. So here we go. Let's roll.
All right. So would you rather drink a bourbon in the stands at a cold Kentucky-Georgia game or drink a cold beer in Sanford during a hot September home game? I think I'll take a cold beer.
I'm going to take cold beer in Sanford Stadium for sure.
All right. Would you rather blow Kentucky out or win a close game so Kirby has reason to coach him up? I'd rather blow him out.
But he's specifically talking about blow Kentucky out.
Yeah, that's what I said. Would you rather blow Kentucky out?
So is
or
the win? So is the win a close game against Kentucky, or is it
Yeah.
against anybody? Okay, all right, blow them out. Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather?
I was taking it as like win a close game against like someone else.
Okay. Would you rather run for 250 or pass for 300? I'd rather run for 250. Who are we talking to? Come on.
So this year I would say I would rather pass for 300.
Yeah, that's fine. That's true.
Although I would say that those numbers are somewhat unfair. So like if you're running for 250 yards, like that gets me excited. That's borderline erotic.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I would say if it was like pass for like 500, like that would be like borderline erotic.
Yeah.
Maybe 450. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll go. I'm gonna switch because 250 is just like that's just ungodly.
Yeah, that's. Oh man, I need to add Munson saying this is ungodly to the soundboard. That's a good one. All right. Would you rather expose Levis as a fraud or humble Chris Rodriguez?
Humble Chris Rodriguez.
Okay, that's actually where I was going to go.
Because I feel like Levis has already exposed himself as a fraud based on their production.
Okay, I like that. Good answer.
Yeah.
And then would you rather attend a game with 20-degree wind chills or sit in a hot as hell humid stadium sweating your tail off?
20 degrees. That's brutal. I'll take hot as hell sweating my tail off because 20 degrees. That's like And wind. Oh wait, 20-degree wind chill.
Wind chill.
So 20-degree wind chill. All right, so that's a little different.
So it's probably in the 30s.
Yeah, probably in the 30s.
Get a little 20 wind chill. That's still cold. I don't deal well with cold. I'll take the hot game.
I'll take the hot game. Yeah, there's a reason why I'll tell you, Jason, ask Hush Puppy if their attendance numbers drop when it starts getting to be 30 degrees at F3. where Hush Puppy goes. There's a reason why the numbers start to creep up in spring.
Nice. He just rounds it out by saying, "Thanks, boys. Head to Kentucky on Wednesday, and I may or may not be visiting multiple distilleries. Go Dogs!" So love it, Jason. Enjoy it. Buffalo Trace is a magical place.
I'd love to jump on that train.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a part of the enticement for the Georgia takeover. I know Dwight's doing a Buffalo Trace. I know he's heading up there as well. So it will be good times had by all. All right, John, it is now time.
Oh my God! My God, a freshman. Trying to put glasses on it.
It is time for Coach Trillbill's.
Ungodly.
I gotta add that. Need to add by the skin of a toothbrush. That's another good one. I love that one.
Oh, Lady Luck. There's so many things we could add.
So good. All right, coaches, over unders. All right, John, you are still in the lead. You have the honors. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
So we're doing UGA offense. Okay, I'll go first on this one.
Ooh, man, like taking the ball. Okay, over under 2.5 Georgia passing touchdowns.
There's a reason.
Okay.
There's a reason. So I like this first one because I'm going to go over.
Okay. Ooh, man. Ooh, I'm also going over. Okay. Georgia rushing yards over under 200 rushing yards. It's my turn. I have under.
I also have under.
Okay. Some background there. We average 192, and they actually only allow 135 on average. So I actually did a little research on that one. Okay,
I'm just gonna say, like, I'm just not like I need the offensive line to the inconsistent. We're back to the Stacey Searles conversation, right?
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, John, you've met him now. We didn't work things out when you yelled at him.
I got a fever. The only prescription for it is more rushing yards.
All right, back to you. Georgia players that score over under 4.5.
Over.
Agreed. Over. Okay, my turn. We're on the defense now. So forced turnovers, 1.5. I've got over.
Under.
Okay. FYI, Kentucky is -4 in the turnover margin. So they're even worse than we are. All right, next up. Your turn. Georgia sacks over under 3.5.
Over.
Agreed. Over. That's right around what they average giving up. And then my turn. Kentucky passing yards over under 225, and I've got under.
I'm gonna go under.
Okay. Let's see. Your turn. Special teams over under 4.5 Kentucky punts.
I'm sorry. I'm running the maths. Over.
Okay. I'm gonna go under. I think they're going to turn it over on downs a couple of times.
No!
So that's why there's my twist. All right. And then I think I go first on this last one. Over under trap game references by Gary Danielson. Over under sit at 1.5. Ooh, man, I wrote down the over. I said over. I'm going to stick with what I wrote down. Over.
If Gary's mentioning trap games, that means that he's thinking that we're in danger.
No. Do you want my reasoning? And this is why I think he's going to talk about.
This was supposed to be a trap game.
No. I think he's going to talk about that Kentucky lost a trap game last week to Vanderbilt. I think that's my logic. That's my logic. It's not this game.
General mentions of trap game.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Clarifications, Jim. Thank you for the clarifications. Over.
There's my thing. Okay. So we agree on that one. All right, Coach Trill. Thank you as always.
I think a better future looking ahead. Looking ahead to the the next Georgia Tech. There's no way Georgia Tech could be a 3:30 game, right? Well, I mean,
John,
I guess
we had it in the news and notes. We know what time it is.
No, I know. Not a CBS game.
Yeah. No, yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, it's ESPN noon.
Looking ahead, I think a better line for the SEC championship is probably going to be the number of times we say "Shut up, Gary."
Hey, but we like Gary. We like him more. Gary. We like Gary more than others. That's a low bar. That's a low bar.
I gotta hand maybe it's just like our audience, but like, can we have a round of applause? There was no Gary hate in the questions.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Although I'm trying to remember, I think it was against Tennessee. I'm trying to remember. Somebody tweeted us who was like, "Sorry, Mike got a podcast, but Gary's driving me crazy." It was pretty funny. Which, I was in the stadium, so I don't know what he was doing. So
that's funny.
All right, thanks, Coach. Always appreciated, and thank you for new in season 3. Coach Bill tracks them for us, so we'll check in on the standings in our review episode. All right, let's hit the final predictions. So the line is Georgia favored by 22.5. The over-under is 49.5. That would give us an implied score based on the line of Georgia 36 to Kentucky 13.5. Our guys at Chapel Bell Curve, the CBC R2 Sam, they do a dog quant, has Georgia winning 29.4 to 8.4. And then we always look at OddsShark. Their predicted score is Georgia 33.4 to Kentucky 16.6. That would be a win. That would not be a cover, and that would be the over. So that's what they've got. What do you got, John? Or do you want me to go?
I'm going to ask you to go.
All right. So I did my my impacted score analysis again. So the hilarious thing about that is if you looking at Power 5 opponents only, and you look at how much more we've been scoring against teams than they give up, and how much less teams have been scoring against us as opposed to what they usually score. If you apply that to Kentucky, we would win this game 37-2. So I'm not going to pick that. I'm not going to pick that.
Savage that is. Is that in the links? Is that in the links?
I may not have given you a link to that. I'll send that to you.
Of course.
Sorry.
Coach Trill, I'm throwing a flag on the play.
His withholding analysis.
I'm throwing a flag on the play. The preview notes do not have this link.
I'll say,
Shenanigans. Shenanigans.
I keep some things in my own notes because I don't want you to. You can't. I can't spoil everything for you. You gotta have some natural reactions.
We've talked about this metric though. It was something that John was tracking it for us last year, so maybe that I'll give it to you. John was tracking it for us last year.
Okay,
John, fair. By the way, where's the Dog Dispatch impact numbers?
Yeah. I've got it. It's in a Google sheet. I'll send it to you.
You should dump that into the Dog Central for the subscribers.
I'll throw that out there. So my modified, because I'm not going to predict that they're going to have a safety against us. I'm going to go Georgia 38-10, and that 38 may be a little low, maybe than what people are thinking. But again, I think Kentucky's just they're going to try to keep the ball and just limit the damage. So I'm going to go Georgia 38, Kentucky 10.
I had similar thoughts. I'm going to go 34-13.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like there's some field goals in there, but one score.
Sure. Awesome. Good stuff as always. Let me ask you this. Do you think there's going to be, because we're recording early, you think there's any change up, any shifts in the college football playoff at all this week? I mean, I would assume the top four will kind of stay the same, right?
How are we defining shifts?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess we'll still have, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU.
I tell you what, the top four. Maybe you could help me, because I feel like I looked at this. I did a bunch of yard work, and like in between little breaks or whatever, I was like trying to think about it, because you have a lot of time to think when you're doing yard work, right? Like,
yes.
Like, yeah. I think about these things. I was like, I'm trying to think through like what are the possibilities, because I think like the Fiesta Bowl is one, and is it the Chick-fil-A Bowl? Like, isn't
it is the
Peach Bowl is one of the semifinals. So what do we have to be ranked to be in the Peach Bowl is what I'm trying to figure out.
So it all depends on like who was where. I mean, if we're number one, we will be in the Peach Bowl, because basically like the higher ranked team gets like kind of preferential treatment for less travel kind of deal. So
really, okay.
Yes. So
it's not like predetermined. Like
no.
Oh,
yep, correct. Okay, so if we're number one, we'll go to the Peach Bowl.
Got it, dude.
Yep. So that's why it is important, to get that number one seed.
I agree. That said, like you think that, like, I don't know. Of course, there's all these teams are teams not named Alabama, but
isn't it great? Isn't it great though that like. Because I've always said, like, look, why can't you eliminate these guys? And it does feel pretty good that you're sitting here in November and they're out of the picture. So that's
they lost to teams that are way worse than us too, which is even more great.
Yeah.
I don't know. The reason I asked that question was, I'm trying to figure out like what bowl, like if you were to, like, let's assume, we continue to win out. Like Vegas is probably going to have us favored by on everything. I think at this point, like as of recording, like they've got lines out for the SEC championship. So we're favored by 22 against Kentucky. I'm not sure what we're favored by Georgia Tech. Have you even looked at that?
I haven't seen anything. I mean, I'm sure there's like a look at it everywhere, but I haven't looked at it.
But we're favored as of today. I believe we're favored by 15 against.
I saw LSU, that. Yeah,
SEC
that sounds about right.
So we're favored by multiple scores by all the rest of the team. So by and large, we should, on paper, run the table the rest of the way, which means that we would maintain the number one ranking. I guess that means that we would end up in the Peach Bowl. But if you didn't go to the Peach Bowl, would you prefer to go somewhere else, or do you want to be at the Peach Bowl?
I want to be at the Peach Bowl because I want to go to the tailgate. Yeah. Nice. So yeah, my like Kirby type answer is going to the Rose Bowl hurt us in 17 because we had a short turnaround. We played that game. It was late. We didn't get home till super late. So we had a shorter week than Alabama did in 2017. So,
but is the Rose Bowl is not an option?
No. Right? I'm just saying but I'm just saying the Peach Bowl is the antithesis of the Rose Bowl. You want to be as close to home as you can in the playoff period. That's my point. No, it is not the Rose Bowl. I'm pretty sure it's the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, which is in Phoenix, right?
Which is still it's out west. Glendale. It's in Glendale. Yeah. So that, again, you don't want to go there. Like you would. I mean, not that you don't want to go there. You would much prefer to go to the Peach Bowl to the Fiesta Bowl for logistics reasons, less travel, less wear and tear. These are kids, right? So you want them as close to home. I know it's like it might be a more fun trip, maybe, I guess, to go to the Fiesta Bowl, but you don't want that. You want the home game. You want the bus ride to the Peach Bowl.
I'll be honest. I looked into. We were talking about doing. I think I told you this. We were looking into instead of doing Christmas presents, we were looking at experiences, and I was like, What's the Fiesta Bowl? Where's that?
Nice. That's funny.
Oh yeah, I would for sure selfishly prefer the Peach Bowl. Obviously, our record there, like in recent years, has not been as good, but I'd still rather be there.
We've won our last. We won our last game there, I guess.
I mean, we lost
Oregon.
the national championship. We lost the national championship, and we lost the SEC championship when it mattered, right? Like those are the games that mattered, right?
Yeah.
Regular season, notwithstanding. Yeah, I'm talking about postseason. Postseason's not been good.
Yeah, and you're right. Yeah, when we won the 2020 or whatever, January 2021, or was it? It was on New Year's Eve. The Cincinnati Peach Bowl, but that was a New Year's Six. That was not a playoff game. So yeah,
correct.
You're right. Yep, but you want to be there. So yeah, I mean, be interested to see. There's a lot of movement to be made. We'll be everyone's gonna be watching TCU, and then what happens in the Pac-12 with USC. That's gonna dictate, I think, what happens with the playoff.
So Jim, help the people out. You're a Georgia fan. Who are you rooting for this weekend? Who do we need to be rooting for?
I mean, you want. So I actually don't want chaos. I know you're a big fan of chaos.
No. I'm actually, I literally do not care about chaos at all right now.
Okay.
All I care about is the University of Georgia and the University of Georgia not beating itself. Like, period, end of story. That said, the only other tangible that I have is that I want everybody else in the SEC to just burn a slow death.
Right. I mean, you could have Tennessee lose at South Carolina Saturday night. That
Absolutely.
So that's one thing. Again, I don't want this to sound like that. Like I don't want to play Tennessee again. Like I'm scared of them or something like that. But I don't think non-division winners should go to the playoff. Period. So I want them to not be in there because of that. Because that's my stance.
Hold on. Timeout. Like this is not like a My God, a podcast timeout, but this is just a like Zach Morris like timeout. Like we just hate Tennessee. Like I'm done. I'm done with those people. We're done.
Yeah. I don't want them to playoff because of that.
I don't want to deal with that nonsense anymore. Like we literally like showed you how big ours was. You showed us how small yours was, and we're done.
Okay. So here's your rooting. You want Georgia to win out. Obviously, we already established that. You want TCU to win out and win the Big 12. Okay. You want that to happen?
Are they playing this weekend? Do we know?
I actually don't know because they just beat Texas.
Is it? Oh, they just beat Texas. Okay.
They just played Texas. Is it Baylor? It might be Baylor.
I think you're right.
So why don't you do some Googles and put glasses on it, and we'll come back to confirm that.
You're correct. They play Baylor at noon. They have a nooner.
Okay. You want USC to win out and win the Pac-12 championship game. You want that to happen. And then you want either Ohio State or Michigan to win out and win the Big Ten. And if their game is super close, you want Ohio State, Michigan next weekend to be a close game.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell you how I feel about this. I'm gonna be rooting for TCU because I think it's a good story. It's a good Cinderella story.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody did. You didn't have TCU on your bingo card, did you?
I had Utah, so don't listen to me. Different conference, but that was my kind of sleeper.
Yeah. I mean, nobody had TCU.
No.
So we'll be rooting for TCU, obviously Georgia. So that's two teams. I will say I'm a little nervous for this because this is a rivalry game because USC's playing UCLA this weekend.
Yeah,
number 7 versus number 16. So that's a big game for them. So
it is.
If you're a Georgia fan, you got eyes on that game.
Yeah.
The other one, Ohio State, Michigan. Of those two, we've already beat the snot out of Michigan. The one team in this entire like universe of college football playoff and Justin Fields and all that nonsense that we have not had a chance to even like flirt with is Ohio State. I want Ohio State. And on paper, we want Ohio State because on paper, they're the only team that I feel like could even compete with us. But if you look at the body of work, I still like our chances. I want UGA versus Ohio State in the national championship. So bring it on.
Nice. I like it. I like it, John. That's good. That's good. It will all be settled. Only a couple of weeks left, man. We're gonna know pretty soon. We're gonna know sooner. I mean, I can't believe that we're here already, that it's gone by this fast. It goes by so fast every year once you're in there.
I think it didn't hit me until Coach Trill was messaging us with his over under scores from last week that like this makes me sad that there's only 5 games left or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, we got 2 left in the regular season. We hope there's 5 games left, right? I like the positive thinking. That's awesome.
Listen. We have already said it. We've shown it throughout the entire, like we're almost at Thanksgiving. It's the end of November, right?
Yeah.
This is who we are. Like the only team that can beat us is the University of Georgia. Period. End of story. There's nowhere like it's like Matt Walsh or whatever his or Crowder, whatever his name is. Changed my mind.
Yeah. Yep.
The only team that can beat Georgia is Georgia. Changed my mind. And no one's changed my mind yet.
Fair. I totally agree. I'm with you, man. All right. Well, I know we'll be talking throughout the week. Sounds like we maybe texting maybe on Friday or on Saturday. I think we're both readily available.
Yes. I feel like we need Jason and crew. If you guys are Dwight, anybody that's out there that's listening, please tweet us your Bourbon Trail. Tweet us your Bourbon Trail experience so we can live vicariously through you. Because Jim and I both have kids, and I have young kids, and there's a part of me that like I looked at it, I was like, ooh, I would really like to just drive up there. Like, how far is it? I think I messaged you. It's less than the time that it takes me to drive to the beach. And I was thinking about it. it.
It's a pretty drive. I'll say that. It's been years since I've done it. I did it twice in college. I haven't done it since.
I've never done it. I've never been to Kentucky. I'm gonna have to go. We're gonna have to do a My God podcast meetup at Buffalo Trace Distillery at some point.
Ooh, that sounds excellent. We will have to do that. I like it.
Yes.
I like it. All right, man. Looking forward to it. And we'll be there cheering on the Dogs on Saturday against the Wildcats.
Absolutely. I just ordered some cigars. I'm going to bust them out this weekend. Let me tell you that.
Nice.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.